Let's see who is here. We're so glad you could join us this evening. We know there's lots going on and there's lots of places you could be, and we're so glad to have you join us. Can you ladies see the participants?
I do. I see Denise McPherson. I saw Mark, Karen, tons coming in.
Amy.
Yeah. Soleil. Hey, Soleil.
Fernando. Hi, Jen. Hi, Kevin.
I love seeing names that I recognize. Like, it is so nice to be part of this community.
Shout out to Rhonda. I know. It's like a little
Melissa.
reunion.
We got Paul, Rhonda, Scott.
That's good.
Oh, Amy saying hi, everyone. Do us a favor
Stephanie.
in the chat. Tell us where you're joining us from. We'll go with an easy one for everyone.
Mark's either saying hi or he's got a question already.
Oh, Ottawa. Yes, Ottawa. Ottawa.
I think Ottawa's representing. Who said Aurelia? I have to go look at that. I want to see who said Aurelia.
That's Rhonda.
Ah, Rhonda from Aurelia. Be in Aurelia next weekend, I think. Or this weekend? Oh, there's Janelle. She's from Ottawa for sure.
Look at the Ottawa people. Love this.
Shashi, we got Burnaby, we've got BC.
Oh,
and
good.
Rupert. Love it up there.
Not even a little competitive. Halifax? Oh, Fernando.
Yeah.
Halifax, amazing.
Abbotsford.
Oh yeah, hi Kevin. Abbotsford from the west.
Oh, it's so amazing to see everybody here. Now, out on the west coast, is it as hot as it is today? We have like a blistering heat wave. It's like it was almost 40 today with the humidex.
No, we're wearing down jackets in Whistler. It's freezing.
Oh, that would be nice.
We don't feel bad for you. How's that? Still don't.
I know it's a choice. I mean, obviously Burnaby, Abbotsford is not going to be as cold there, but it's still, I don't think it has been super hot yet.
Oh, Dion from PEI. So I think that's the furthest east we are tonight, right?
Ah, amazing. So my parents used to live PEI, O'Leary. They were out there for 15 years.
O'Leary. I'm not familiar with O'Leary.
Yeah, it's just past Summerside, so the west end of the island.
Gotcha. All right. All right. Well, I think all of our people have joined us now from the waiting room, and I know people will trickle in over the next little bit, but let's get started because we have so much to cover tonight. Thank you to thank you to everyone who is joining us for your Monday evening, because we know it's graduation season and it's prom season and there's a million other things going on. Not to mention, I think some kids, this is their last week of school. So always lots of chaos and lots going on. Thank you for joining us. And we commend you for making real estate and achieving your goals and your dreams a priority, because we recognize that most of you are probably doing this for your family. And in the moment, those can be tough decisions to make. So we're really happy to have you join us here this evening. And I'm going to share the screen. So might be a bit of a delay. Megan, can you give me a thumbs up if we're good, please? Fantastic. Love it. Okay, so this evening's webinar, we are going to be talking about transitioning from a cash crunch into a cash flow. We're going to make it a nice, smooth, easy transition. We recognize that it is definitely challenging right now in the world of real estate for some people. Other people, things are moving along, and that is fantastic. Know that if you are one of those people who is experiencing some challenges right now, you are absolutely not alone. We do encourage you to reach out to us or to anybody else who is here in the call, anybody in your community. If you are struggling, please reach out. We want to help you. And today we want to help you create a plan to transform your investments. And I'm so excited to share with you a little bit more about my fantastic guests of honor this evening, Megan and Victoria. But let's start with a little bit of housekeeping. So my standard disclaimer, which basically says, I love these ladies, I support these ladies, but it's up to us to do our own due diligence for whatever we're looking at investing in or whatever we're looking at doing. It is always, 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 when it comes to real estate, the buck stops with us. And if we don't know the right questions to ask or the right information to look for, that is the very first indication of an opportunity for us to be able to level up our knowledge. just in case this is your first time on Zoom, and I think that's highly unlikely after the pandemic, but what is more likely is you might not have been on Zoom in a while. So just a quick reminder how Zoom webinars work. On your screen, when you hit the chat button, you should be able to see two options. One is hosts and panelists, and the webinar defaults to host and panelist. If you type in the chat box when it says hosts and panelists, then Victoria, Meghan, and I are the only ones who see your message. So everybody go to the chat box right now, click the drop down, change it to everyone, and that way you'll be all set when you have that life-changing thought that you want to share with everybody who's with us this evening. The other piece of this with a webinar is that there is a Q&A tab you will also see at the bottom of your screen. If you have a question that you would like us to address during the Q&A session at the end, please type it in the Q&A tab, and that way your questions don't get lost as the chat progresses through the webinar. Because if you type a question into the chat at the beginning, by the time an hour goes by, we probably are going to have lost your question. So questions for myself or Victoria or Meghan to answer at the end, please make sure you type it in the Q&A tab. Otherwise, when you're participating in the conversation or when someone asks a question, make sure you've clicked everyone. And we absolutely want everybody to engage and participate, share your thoughts, your feedback, your ideas. And we're really glad that you're here with us this evening. Our agenda is going to be quick introductions. Then we're going to talk about understanding the numbers and business pain points. Meghan is going to be doing that with her background in business and sales. I will be talking about maximizing cash flow. Victoria is going to be talking about some growth strategies. We actually decided to change up the order a little bit, and we're going to do a special announcement. And then we will be doing the Q&A, so that'll be your opportunity to ask us additional questions. And then we'll be back with a quick webinar wrap up at the end. And just so you know, we have a gift this evening. It will support you in your real estate journey. It will be around education. And for the people who are still here at the end, when we do the webinar wrap up, you're going to have the opportunity to be entered in a draw for our special gift. So, how are we doing, ladies? Awesome. Okay. So my name is Elizabeth Kelly. If we have not met before, I am a real estate coach and I've been an investor for almost 20 years. I help new and experienced investors to strategically and aggressively build their portfolios and maximize profits. I specialize in rent-to-owns and multi-unit buildings, and I absolutely love what I do. And I am very fortunate to have met two other wonderful, amazing, beautiful women who are also experts in their field and are fantastic coaches and love providing support to the real estate community as much as I do. Meghan is an investor-focused business consultant. She has a ton of experience. Meghan, I'm not going to read your bio because I think that there's so many other cool things that just don't get captured in bios. Meghan and I have known each other about a year and a half now, and Meghan's ability to look at situations and to analyze and to ask the most piercing, poignant questions and to really get you thinking, I think, is one of Meghan's absolute hand down best qualities. She will ask you that question and make you think about things that you might want to avoid, but when you find the courage and answer them, man, that's when transformation happens. Thank you, Meghan, for joining me this evening.
Thank you.
Wonderful. And we will be hearing from Victoria. And Victoria is another lady who I've had the good fortune to know for a couple of years now. We actually met at just before multifamily a couple of years ago, and we kind of hit it off, I think, right away. We chatted in person. We're like, hey, we should connect. And then everything just kind of blossomed from there. One of the things that I love the most about Victoria is that she has a vision that many of us struggle with, and it's that we can have the balance. So we can be entrepreneurs, we can be family members, we can be business owners, we can have jobs, and we can have our health and our fitness and a good quality of life. And Victoria is a really firm believer. She supports her community in terms of helping them figure it out. Whether it's needing more support around working out, whether it's visioning or planning or whatever it is, Victoria has a fantastic community of investors around her too.
Thank you, my dear.
You're welcome, as always. So now we're going to turn it over to Megan, and Megan is going to share with us why numbers are so important. And if you're in this room right now, you probably realize that real estate investors spend an awful lot of time talking about the numbers. But one of the things Megan has figured out is it's not always the right numbers that we're talking about. Over to you, Megan.
Thank you so much for the great introduction, Elizabeth. Thank you everyone for being here tonight. Yeah, we're going to dive into the numbers tonight. So, as Elizabeth had mentioned, I work primarily with real estate investors. And here's a couple of things that I know about real estate investors. You guys are whizzes at analyzing deals. You can look at a deal, you can quickly decide whether you're ready to move ahead on it or whether you're ready to toss it out. But the thing that happens with the numbers is the back end of the numbers gets really clunky and heavy. After you've acquired a property or two properties or three properties, all of a sudden you have a booming business. And if you don't continue to take that detailed analysis that you did when you first bought your first property all the way through for each property, you end up running into issues. You end up running into cash flow issues. So there's three main areas that I want to highlight tonight for yourself. I want you to make sure that you know exactly which property is what they're doing on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, and on an annual basis. I want you to be looking at one individual property, not the entire portfolio, because we need to figure out where the holes are in our bucket in order for us to have a successful business, as if we take a look at it from an annual review. So number one, what is the cost of each of your properties? Do you have a running spreadsheet for each of those properties? Do you have a chart of accounts within your QuickBooks that's dedicated to just that property? Are you making sure that you are taking a look and reconciling on a monthly or a quarterly basis what's happening in that property, and you're factoring in big capital expenses or annual tax payments and things like that? The next big number area that we want to take a look at is the fixed and the variable cost of running your business as a business. So your portfolio is a business itself, regardless if you have one property or 10 properties or 100 properties, you are running a business. So your fixed versus variable cost of running a business could be your subscriptions, your VA, your accountant, your software programs, anything that has to do with overall running the business, not just taking a look at what the actual cost is of running that property. So these are things that even in our own corporation, we continually take a look at, every single month, like, okay, where are the big costs going to be for next month? Do we have annual subscriptions that we need to pay for in a lump sum? Are we factoring and stocking a little bit away every single month so that we're ready for that big expense? A lot of times when I see business owners running their business is that they're taking all of these payments and these subscriptions and things out of a property here and a property there. Well, that doesn't really give us what the true cash flow is on a property. So you really do need to be sectioning out a little bit to also run the fixed and the variable costs of running your business as a business. And then the last area of numbers I really want you to take a look at is what's your net worth? What do you owe? What do you own? Where do you have debt? Where do you have equity? What is your portfolio doing as a whole? If we don't take a look at the great big picture of it all, sometimes we get ourselves into hot water. What does hot water look like for investors? It means that your money is at risk and your investors' money is at risk. We want to make sure that we are looking at the entire overall picture so that you know where you are in good standing. Every quarter, every year, you want to make sure you're evaluating these things. As the market fluctuates and goes up and down, right? These numbers are going to change. So it takes, monthly review of all of these areas to make sure that you are confident in your numbers, you're confident in your portfolio, and you're confident in the overall health of your business for the long term. Because we know that real estate is not a short-term play, it is a long-term play. You want to make sure that you want to have this foundation set in place first. All right, next slide, please. So your business pain points. Well, if you have one property or if you have 10 properties, you are running a business. And without putting that proper foundation in place, your business is going to crumble, as I mentioned. So here are some top of things that I hear from people. They are overwhelmed. They're lacking direction. They have shiny object syndrome. I mean, put up your hand, you guys, as entrepreneurs, if we get shiny object syndrome. There are so many factors going on in real estate. There are so many areas that you could grow and scale to. There are so many different strategies you could get to. A lot of times we're like this, ding, 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 ding. Or we've been, Victoria says she's guilty, I'm guilty too. Or we've been networking the heck out of ourselves and we have all of a sudden opened up our network so that we've met so many new people and they're now coming to us saying, hey, I've got this you might be interested in. Hey, I think this would be a good fit for you too. And all of a sudden you're thinking, oh my gosh, I want to say yes to everything because I'm in a yes and abundant mindset. But on the same account, those business foundations need to be put in place before you get caught up, before you, build a structure that is going to be built on dreams and hopes, as opposed to foundations, structures, and routine. Next slide, please. So we've got 4 main business areas, and this is a way that I break businesses down anytime I work with any client one-to-one. There are 4 main areas of business. And if you were to take a look at any large corporation, you walk into a large corporation, you walk into their big annual conference, and you will see there's a table for accounting, finance. There's a table for sales and marketing. There's a table for human resources, and there's a table for operations. Everyone is completely different. Everyone has different personality types. They look different. They dress different. They act different. But as the CEO of your company, you're sitting at every table. And so it's really important for us to say, hey, where are my strengths? Which table am I really excelling at? And which table do I need some help and support around? Once we've identified that, we can start saying, okay, what are some of the job functions in all of these areas of business? If we take a look at accounting, finance, I always start there because, again, you need to know your numbers in order for you to say, hey, I can spend money to hire someone, or B, I can put money towards branding and marketing. So we take a look at accounting, finance, and we say, okay, what are your monthly bookkeeping? How are you paying your contractors? What's the flow of invoices? How do you manage the flow of money? Do you have a bank account set up for every single property? Or do you have one property for one holding company where all the money goes into, and then you're paying that as an operating expense as well? Where is the proper tracking and flow of money? When you get down to the nitty gritty like that, you're going to be able to find lots of little holes in your business to tweak and tighten things up so that you can really start preparing for the growth and scaling that you're looking for. The next area you want to take a look at is the sales and marketing piece. So yes, okay, now we know how much money we have. We know that we have $1,000 extra that we can allocate to maybe hiring our very first VA. And we really understand our numbers, but maybe we don't have any money left for marketing. And we know that because we've actually taken a run at our numbers and actually looked at what is coming into our business. So we look at sales and marketing. Don't sit there telling me that you don't sell anything, because if you are inviting investors into your world, you are selling an opportunity for investing with you. You also may be selling a coaching program. Then we take a look at the sales and marketing side of things. So are you doing social media? Do you have a website? Do you have branding? Do you have traditional marketing? So many different ways that we can market our business and grow our brand in today's economy, but you want to make sure that you are doing it strategically in a way that aligns with how you operate. And again, if this is not an area of strength for you, this might be your area of first thing that you hire out. Then we'll move on to the next slide, and we're going to talk about human resources and operations. So as I mentioned before, now that we know our numbers, now that we understand that we have what we're selling and what we're marketing, areas that we need to focus on improving, we can take a look at human resources. What do we do with human resources? A lot of times I will have someone come to me and say, I hired my very first VA. I'm so excited. They're going to help me with so many things. And then they say, and the VA sucked. And I say, why? Well, because I hired them to do VA things, but I didn't really know what those VA things were. And so I just brought them in hoping that they would know what the VA things were. And they didn't really have anything in place for them. I didn't have any training for them. I didn't know what my standard operating procedure was to train them on how to do things in the way that I wanted to do them. And so this area is also quite clunky because a lot of breakdown happens in the human resources component. People say, forget it. I'm not going to hire someone again. I'm just going to continue to do it all myself. But if you really want to grow and scale, you're going to have to let go of your ego and start hiring some of those projects out, understanding where your strengths and your weaknesses are so that you can really say, you know what, this is not my wheelhouse. I'm going to start hiring someone. I know how to hire. I know how to train them. I know how to create a standard operating procedure for them. And then I can say, yeah, they're meeting their metrics based on their quarterly reviews. And then we take a look at your operations. Now, I can tell probably most of you guys are going to say, yeah, the operations is my bottleneck. It's really choking me out right now. It's really difficult. The operations is probably about 80% of your business, to be honest. This is where all the moving pieces happen. So all of the other areas that I talked about are key to your business success, but the operations is the bottleneck that is going to stop you from getting to the next step if you don't put some systems in place now. So what does that look like? A project management software. Or a PMS, a customer relationship management software, or a CRM, a standard operating procedure, or a standard way of doing things in SOP or So when we take a look at the operations side of things, there are so many softwares out there today. Some of you guys may have said, yeah, I downloaded a software and I thought it was going to be the game changer, but I opened it up, I created a file, and I have no clue how to use it. And that's okay. There's also a lot of great training videos out there, great modules. There's a lot of points here that we covered. I always encourage you, and I will always encourage you to go back to understanding the numbers. That's going to tell you whether you have $42 extra to invest in a project management software. That's going to tell you whether you can start spending $500 a month on bringing a VA in to help running your business. What would an example of a PMS be? Project management software would be, you could use ClickUp, you could use Trello, you could use Monday.com, you could use Notion, you could use Salesforce.com. There's a ton of them out there. I will tell you, I'm currently using ClickUp. It is quite good. I would say it's meeting most of my needs and things. I've dabbled in pretty much most of them, I would say. But I would say choose one that's going to help you out. Asana is another great one. Choose one that's going to help you out, and then just commit for the next like quarter on learning how to use it, because it is really going to take you, it's going to be like an online filing cabinet for yourself. So it's going to take some time and some training. And if you have staff or a partner that you're working with, it's going to take some time to train them as well, and making sure that you're becoming as effective as you possibly can in that area. But I do really think that if you are looking to do a few more things, like maybe you've done 5 projects this year and you want to do 10 next year, these types of operational softwares are really going to help you leverage and get to that goal. Yes, you can also use ClickUp and for your PMS and your CRM. Good question. Anyone else? Yeah, okay, loving ClickUp. Perfect. All right, next slide. All right, so in conclusion, from my section here, run your portfolio as a business. Even if your goal is to buy 1 property this year, start running your portfolio as a business. The earlier you can do this, I have clients come to me and say, hey, when should I start? I want to buy a property. I said, now is the time to start. Start running your portfolio as a business now before it gets to grow and scale too big. If it gets to grow and scale too big, it's really heavy for you to clean up. It's a lot of work. It puts you at risk. It puts your investors at risk. And quite frankly, it takes the joy out of the job. And if you can start this earlier, your business will be significantly more successful in the long run. There you go. Over to you, Elizabeth.
Wonderful. Thank you, Megan. You're ahead of schedule. Look at you.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's wonderful. You got an extra 2 minutes. And I love that you were able to jump in and just answer that question. Do you want to kind of say, Stephanie was saying, what's the difference between the project management and CRM? My understanding is that CRMs really are just more focused on capturing client data and how you've interacted with them, but they don't allow you to future plan and map out, a project.
Yeah, it's a great question. Exactly. So a CRM is going to capture all of your contacts, all of your leads. I have my CRM, broken down into like mortgage broker Winnipeg, mortgage broker Ontario, real estate agents, contractors, plumbers, etc. So all of that thing is going to go into your CRM. Then your CRM can actually be linked to like an individual person in your CRM can be linked to a specific project or a deal if you are bringing an investor in. And then in the project management side of things, it's really nice to actually, let's pretend that you guys do flips. And so some of you do a flip, or maybe you do a triplex conversion. And so every time you do a flip or a triplex conversion, you do the exact same way. So in the project management, you can actually create a template that has all of your steps, step by step in it, like choosing tiles, securing contractor, putting quotes out to tender, all of those steps that you could do every single time. You can create an entire template. And then every time you do that project, you just duplicate the template, change the name. Duplicate the template, change the name. If there are areas that are not relevant to you on that specific project, you just delete them or cross them off. But it takes a ton of the bandwidth and your mental load out of it when you just have a template that you can duplicate over and over again, and it's going to walk you through the project very seamlessly. With so many things whirling in our mind, with so much shiny object syndrome and so many things going on as entrepreneurs, the easier you can make your decision process and you're navigating through a project process, the easier it's going to be overall.
Yeah, absolutely. And that also means too that when you develop best practices that you're consistently implementing them, versus if you're only hiring somebody new once or twice a year where you're like, oh wait, what did I do again? And you make the same mistakes repeatedly if you don't have that process written down.
Yeah. Shashi, I do have an Excel template for properties, income, expenses, and tracking things like that. You can reach out to me after and I'll pop it out your way.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Megan. Okay.
Thank you.
And now I'm going to talk about maximizing cash flow, because there are some people in the room who might be in the situation where you are close to negatively cash flowing or even into the negative cash flow, courtesy of the rates that have gone up over the last kind of 18 to 24 months. And even though we've had our first decrease, the reality is you're probably not going to see a huge impact on your bank account until there are a few more decreases. We're probably looking at the end of this year or into early next year before we see a full 1 point drop. So in the meantime, as entrepreneurs, we don't want to sit around and wait for somebody else to be able to determine our cash flow. We're like, I am on it. What do I need to do to turn things around? So here's what we're going to do. Make sure you grab a screenshot and you're writing these things down, because these are literally the things that I do in my business, that I have done in my business, that have made a tremendous difference. So the first thing we want to do is to minimize our vacancy rates. So we're going to focus on, as Megan talked about, doing some marketing, making sure that we have our pick of high quality tenants to be able to choose from in the event that we have a vacancy. And we're going to try and minimize the likelihood that we have a repetitive vacancy, because what typically comes with vacancy, well, you're going to have to usually do some maintenance and repairs. Maybe you're going to do some cleaning. And then sometimes there's going to be a period of time where the unit is vacant between your tenants. So we want to reduce our vacancy rates as much as possible by marketing. I like a good tenant loyalty program. So if they've paid their rent and on time in full for the past 12 months, I might offer them a bonus. Maybe it's an upgrade. Maybe it's a Tim Hortons gift card, but something that says, hey, thanks for being awesome. We appreciate you, and makes it more likely that they're going to stay with us. Tenant screening is a huge part of it as well. So in addition to reducing vacancy rates, what we also want to reduce is bad debt, which is people who are in our units but not paying what they're supposed to be paying to be there. So by having a solid tenant screening process, we are going to enable ourselves to try and collect full rent each and every month, ideally in a perfect world, maybe even a little bit early. We also want to be really strategic with our financing and refinancing. We want to look at what is the cost of borrowers. And I know that there's a huge belief out there that private money is the way to go, OPM, borrow everything, promissory notes. There's a lot of people right now who are really struggling with all of this. So I want to encourage you that when you are looking at refinancing or acquiring, look at the cost of borrowing. And I'm not referring to the rate here. I'm referring to what are the fees? What are the costs? How often do you have them? If you're with a B lender, then you're probably going to have costs every single year as your mortgage turns over or renews. If you're looking at private money, you're probably going to have a 1 to 2% broker fee, a 1 to 2% lender fee, and then you've got your interest rates on top of it. So make sure you're paying attention to the true cost of money and not just sort of what's initially presented to you. And looking at fixed versus variable, I know traditionally investors have always gone for variable rate mortgages, and a lot of people are struggling because we've stayed away from fixed rate. It has not been common, and a lot of us have gotten squeezed. So it's an important question to ask right now. If you have properties that are coming up for refinancing, if you're thinking about selling at all, if you are looking at the rates and we believe they're going to come down a point, then run your numbers at a point lower and see if they still make sense. Make sure you're paying attention to, do you need the peace of mind that comes from going with a fixed rate mortgage, so that no matter what happens in the marketplace, you're able to cover your expenses. And you should always be planning out for a 3 to 5 year horizon. So when you acquire a property, then you should say, I'm planning to refinance, I'm going to do some improvements, I'm refinancing in 24 months. This is what I think that it looks like. Now, the challenge is that CMHC, they like to move your cheese around an awful lot. They think it's a game of hopscotch. And, the program they rolled out 6 months ago with, all the points that you could get for doing energy efficiencies and stuff like that, they've repealed it all. And I was talking to a mortgage broker the other day. They're like, oh yeah, the only thing that gets you the 95% loan to value now is having affordable housing units. Well, if you've just done a massive renovation and you were counting on that, that leaves you in a bit of a pickle. So it's really important that you have a plan B, that you have something else going on in your head, that if CMHC moves the cheese on you while you are looking at your 3 to 5 year planning horizon, that you have a plan in place for how you're going to handle that. We want to make sure with our cash flow management. So this is part number 2. So part number 1 is to increase our income on our current investments. Part number 2 is to manage our cash flow. And for any of you who have been part of sort of smaller businesses, you'll know how important. It doesn't matter what the numbers were that you ran, before closing. The reality is you have to have the money in your bank account to cover your bills every month. And if you are paying your taxes quarterly, it's a hit on your cash flow management. If you are, paying your insurance in one lump sum payment, it's a hit on your cash flow. So we need to be really proactive to make sure that there is always money in the bank account that is there to cover the bills that are coming out. So the first thing we need to do with cash flow management is to set the intention, to understand what success looks like. Success looks like being able to sleep at night. What do you think? Type in the chat box. Tell me what successfully managing your cash flow would look like to you. I'll give you guys a couple of seconds to do that while I just round out the last couple of pieces here under setting the intention. Financial freedom. 8 solid hours. I'm assuming that's of sleep, Victoria. I would be over the moon if I could get 8 hours of solid sleep. Being able to breathe. Absolutely, Suzanne. That feeling that you get when you're like, there's more month than there is money left. That is, it has an impact on your health and your well-being. So we want to be really proactive here. Absolutely, worry-free sleep. So we set the intention, we want to become cash flow positive. And maybe part of the intention is I want to get to the point where I can pay myself a salary, or I want to get to the point where I can fund, my kids' university out of the corporate bank account. Whatever that piece of cash flow management freedom looks like for you, make sure you're aligning yourself to make that happen. And as Meghan was talking about earlier, monthly cash flow monitoring is absolutely critical. If you are not paying attention to your numbers as a business owner, then things happen. Like when I had a property manager steal $100,000 from me over a couple of months. We were between project management softwares. We were trying to transition between two. We couldn't figure out why the numbers didn't line up. They didn't line up because she was an opportunistic person and she was stealing money right from under our noses. So the reality is, if we weren't doing monthly cash flow monitoring, we might not have known for 12 months that there was money missing. Make sure you're doing cash flow forecasting. As Meghan said, you should be able to say, I have this amount coming in, I have this amount coming out. How much money do I need to cover the next X number of months? And Meghan, I would love how much, when you work with your clients, how much cash flow do you recommend they have in the bank? Should they be able to cover 3 months worth of costs? Is that the ideal before they start drawing down on profit?
Yeah, I would say 3 to 4 months is great. Yeah.
Perfect.
And then putting aside for a contingency fund as well.
Absolutely.
We had some plumbing issues, those things that pop up and you don't know about.
Yeah, yes. And the other thing that can be really helpful is real-time tracking. So if you're thinking about hiring HR support, having someone who can help you have real-time tracking so you can see you're not reaching the 30th of the month and going, oh crap, stuff is going to bounce because I haven't left enough in the bank account in order to offset that. We want to optimize our accounts receivable. So this means that when we do something, we provide a service. For example, let's say we're a property management company, which I was for 15 years. And I can tell you invoicing immediately makes a very big difference. And then you can go one step further and you can incentivize early payment. So if you provide property management services, you're sending the bill to the owner as soon as possible. If you are working with tenants, part of your loyalty program might be to incentivize them to pay before the last day of the month instead of on the last day of the month. You also need to have a debt collection plan in place. So if someone owes you money and they're not paying you, what is your plan? You don't want to sit there and go, this person owes me $30,000. I guess I should start trying to figure out how I'm going to collect it. You want to be proactive about this kind of stuff. You also need to control your accounts payable. And that means that you're going to negotiate extended payment terms. Maybe it's interest-free. I have 6 months to pay this huge bill down. Like I need to get a new hot water tank for my commercial building, and I'm currently looking at financing options. It's going to be probably $18,000. So I would prefer not to take all of that out of the bank account at once. I'd like to figure out a way to pay $2,000 a month for 9 months. That's much easier for my cash flow to withstand than $18,000 all at once. That being said, I'm going to prioritize my payments based on the dates and the relationship. So I don't like to miss payments. And if I'm going to be late for someone, I'm probably going to pick someone like I'm recording this, but anyways, like taxes, for example, because I know that there's a long runway there before they're going to take action, and nobody's going to be personally offended if I don't send them my $2,000 for that month. I can pay $4,000 next month, and it's not going to damage a relationship. So we want to prioritize payments based on dates and the importance of the relationships. We also want to make sure we're managing costs with planning and budgeting. One of the most challenging things is when you have a repair or a maintenance issue that's right in your face in that moment and you have no options. You have to get whoever will show up and you have to pay whatever they ask because you're in that crisis situation. Even when we're acquiring a property, we know from the building inspection, okay, we've probably got another 5 years with the roof. So let's get a sense of what that bill might look like and let's start putting money aside every month. Let's have a couple of people kind of in our back pocket. Maybe we have some leaks before we get to the point where we need to replace the entire roof. But let's try not to operate in a crisis or an emergency situation. Let's plan and manage our cash flow more proactively and better. So once we get to the point where we are managing our cash flow really well, we're on top of our bills, we know what's to come, we make sure that we've got the buffer in the bank account, now we're in a good situation to be able to think about adding extra income streams. And hopefully there are some people who here in the chat, do me a favor, type and tell me if you are thinking right now about adding extra income streams. Maybe you're starting a property management company. Maybe you're going to become a realtor. What else is there? Maybe you're going to start a side hustle or an additional business, maybe a rent to own company. So Kim and Fallon, sorry. Okay, so we've got a couple anyways. Short term, absolutely. I love short term. You have so much control. Oh, look at, okay, everybody's coming in. Teaching a short-term rental rooms course. Oh, Suzanne, you'd be wonderful at that. Selling modular homes. Good for you. Lovely to see. See, and this is the thing. Most of us start investing in real estate because we want to have an investment property. We don't realize we are closet entrepreneurs. We are secret behind the scenes entrepreneurs. And our first property, the light bulb goes off and we're like, oh my gosh. And I know COVID was a really tough time for a lot of people and for a lot of businesses. When I started focusing on my business, I grew exponentially in the last couple of years in my commercial business because I was paying attention to it. I was focusing on it. I created that intention for where I wanted things to be, and I looked for the opportunities to make it happen. So there's different ways that we can add income streams. Maybe we're looking at picking up another couple of cash flowing investments. Or if we're struggling, maybe we're really committed to this time I'm not buying something that doesn't cash flow from day one. I don't need to drag any more anchors around with me. It has to cash flow from day one or I'm not buying it. Maybe you were thinking about buying a revenue producing business. I mean, anybody who follows Cody Sanchez, she's got all kinds of cool stuff, laundromats and car washes, and she's got all kinds of great information on how to, analyze and select businesses that are going to generate cash flow from day one. The other thing maybe is a partnership. So if you are seeing a particular investment strategy or model that is working in real estate with where the market is right now, then even if you haven't found the deal yourself, maybe there's an opportunity to become a partner and to generate some cash flow to support your endeavors that way. And now I'm going to bring in or turn it over to Victoria. She's going to talk about how to grow our businesses, our new cash flowing, income producing, money making businesses. Over to you, Victoria.
Thank you very much. That was great, Elizabeth. Same to you, Megan. And love the transition because really what Elizabeth and Megan has shown is how to optimize what you currently have. And so once you've got your systems dialed in, you've found the money within your own business, now let's talk about growth. And those who know me know I'm a big dreamer and I like thinking big. And a lot of the clients that I work with, they're not thinking big enough, and I can see ways and how they can grow. And so, I want to impart a little bit of that here tonight. And I want you to start thinking about what the possibilities could be, the things that you're embarrassed to even admit that you want. And so if you can't admit it to us, that's okay, but don't hold back from yourselves. And so really take the time to think about what those possibilities look like. I'm going to walk you through a 4-stage process of growth. And so the very first one is going to be clarity. This is establishing a strong foundation. And if we're all in the real estate space, we know how important it is to have a strong foundation. A lot of people miss this part in your business development. You don't do that work. And a lot of it has to do with self-reflection, but now you're going to do it in your business. And the good news is that it doesn't matter what stage you're at. So if you're a seasoned entrepreneur and you've had a business for a number of years or a larger portfolio, you can start over and you can set that foundation again. So you don't have to tear the whole house down, but I really encourage you, if you don't have a pen and paper, get a pen and paper so that you can start to implement this right away as soon as you leave here. The first thing is your mission statement. Really think about, what is the purpose of the business? What is your purpose as a real estate investor, as a small business owner? What is the impact that you want to make? And then what are your values? And so if you can answer those 3 questions, you're on the right track to developing your mission statement. And really start to think over and above what everybody else is doing. What sets you apart? Like, I really want people to be as authentic as possible so that they can situate themselves in this space as exactly who they're meant to be. Once you have this mission statement intact, you want to move to the vision, and you want to start thinking big, like I talked about. So think 20 years down the road. Where are you going to be? Where do you physically want to be? Where do you want your business to be? What does your day-to-day look like? And there's a lot of strategies that you can do to start to visualize this. Olympians use this technique. Athletes use this technique. It's like visualization to start to think about what that day looks like to you, and then reverse engineer it. I love working in quarters. And so, like Meghan mentioned, right, we're almost done Q2. We're rolling into Q3 at the end of this month. Working in 90-day chunks is a great way to be able to ensure that you're on track and be able to pivot if you need to. But you should have this long-term focus in mind so that you're going in that right direction. I love SMART goals. I've been using SMART goals for almost 20 years. This is a big strategy that the military uses. Lots of organizations use. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I love the SMART goals. So you can just Google this and it will walk you through how to do that. We don't have time tonight, but I have a little cheat sheet as well. So happy to always share that type of information if you're looking for a little bit of guidance. And then have it inspirational. Your goals should be inspirational because you're going to hit so many bumps along the way that you want to be hanging on to something that is exciting. Like for me, it is a warm beach. That is inspirational to me. And so when I am like hustling and having some sleepless nights or under a lot of stress and pressure, all I'm thinking about is that end goal. And it keeps me going, man. It's a good feeling because I can like taste the salt air. I can taste like the fish tacos and all the good things that will come with wherever it is that I'm living. So I really want you to start visualizing that for yourself. And then you want to move into like the unique selling proposition. So we go mission, vision, proposition. What is it that differentiates you from the others? And so whether you're a real estate investor, whether you're a business owner, what is it that makes you different? What are the benefits that you're providing? Over and above, look at your competition. Look at the people that are doing the same things as you and think about what you're offering over and above. And then the promise. Do you have a compelling promise? What is that? And so start writing these down and really start giving yourself a good clarity session. Not enough people do this work up front, but I promise you, when you get clarity, every step that you take is so intentional and it's not wasted. Often investors, business owners, entrepreneurs, they're going around in circles and go nowhere fast. And you know those people, you can recognize those people, and maybe that is yourself. And so you want to make sure that you're going in a direction. And then the final one, which is like one of my favorite things to do, is the ideal client avatar. I talk a lot with my real estate clients for the ideal real estate avatar, the same as with your client. And like Meghan said, when you're a real estate investor, you're still selling. And so you really need to develop who that ideal client is for you, whether that's a partner, whether those are investors, you should have that focused. And so what's the demographics? Think about their age range. Where are they located? What's their gender? What kind of income level? You want to get into that nitty-gritty stuff. Think about their pain points, especially when you're selling. You want to be solving people's problems. So what problems are out there that you need to solve? And then what's their behavior like? So where would you find them? What's their trends? What do they like to do? So those are just some areas that I would suggest that you focus on. You can really deep dive into this stuff, but just to keep this at a high level and something that's manageable right now, those are my suggestions. Next slide, please. Then we move into the planning stage. So you get the clarity, and now we're going to plan how we'll strategize your path to growth. Marketing and sales, that's been talked about in each one of our sections because it is so important. Analyze the market trends. What's hot right now? What is like the new platform? Where's everybody at? Where are they hanging out? Know what that is, and then create a plan. When you create a plan, you want to think about what works for you, right? So just because everybody is on LinkedIn, maybe that doesn't work for you and your business. You need to figure out what platform, what channel you want to start showing up at. And if you're new to any type of marketing or social media, personal branding, the biggest suggestion I would make is to just focus on one to start so that you can start getting used to even showing up. Sometimes that's the biggest barrier. And I could go into hours of talking to people about why people are not showing up online and how much they are missing out on by holding back. People love knowing what you're doing, what you're up to, the behind the scenes. And if you're proud of what you're doing, then it's a disservice not to share it. I had a great conversation today with somebody who was just like lit up and talked about his challenges. And, it would be a disservice for him not to share his experience with other people because people can learn from each other. And so be that person. And then the sales funnel, this can get pretty challenging when you're not used to it. But the easiest way that I can explain a sales funnel is think of a customer journey. So a customer or a client or an investor or a partner, how do they find you? Just walk through what their journey would be getting into your world, your business world, because growth, you need to bring people in. That's part of the growth process, the strategy. Everybody wants to stay in their comfort bubble. Maybe you've done things a certain way and that's comfortable for you. But if you're not having a consistent increase of clients, then you have to start looking at your processes, and marketing and sales is a big factor. Knowing who you're marketing to is very important. So it's not about throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing seeing which sticks. A lot of times people will start to try to market, but then it's crickets and then they stop. But you have to think, like, are you talking to the right people? And so then we move into the team building, and Meghan touched on this, and I think Elizabeth touched on this as well. You're only operating at your capacity. So you might say, like, I don't have time or I don't have money to hire out to build a team, but you need to start thinking about the business that you want to be, not the business that you are. Because again, you're only working at your current capacity. So if you're doing everything, well, you can't be focused on growth because you're the one that's doing all the nitty-gritty stuff. One of the best things that happened for my business was actually being forced to go back to work. And that's just another story for another day, but it really helped shine a light on the areas that were dependent on me. And now I'm out of the business so that all I do is focus on working on the business and growing it. So you want to think about what the roles are that need to get filled. Think about what nitty-gritty tasks are you doing every single day. And then once you identify those roles, you need to recruit. You have to decide how you're going to recruit. If you're going with a virtual VA, then figure out what platform you want to start doing your recruiting. If you want somebody local, then find platforms that are local to where you are. And, we may have people across North America here, so that's going to take a little bit of research, but then you want to start recruiting on the platform. The training process, that often, for me, I build the plane as I'm flying it. To be quite honest, when I'm bringing in somebody new, if I don't already have that position filled, guess who is actually writing the plan? The person new that came in. So they're the ones that are going to be building it. I'll train them and I'll show them what to do. But my expectation is that they're writing these steps down so that they're creating the standard operating procedures so that it's available should they ever leave. Should we expand and bring new people in? So there's so many different ways that you can do it. Don't let your limiting beliefs tell you that you can't bring other people in. I always bring it back if I have clients that say, I can't do this and I don't want to let go of this. Think about the big businesses out there. Do you think they're doing their own bookkeeping? Do you think that they're doing their own administration? No, they're not doing it. So if they can figure it out, you can too. Your business is not so special that only you can be the one to do this. And so you got to get over that mindset piece. And then retention is just a matter of leadership and how you make your employees feel, what that onboarding process is for them, and how that works. The operations I touched on a little bit. So mapping out is all about, again, building the plane, creating your standard operating positions. Think about the tasks that you do on a regular basis and just start high level at the beginning. Don't let yourself get so overwhelmed that you stop and you don't take action because there's too much to do. Start with the biggest first and then just work your way through it. You've gone this far without it. You can go another couple months. So figure it out one at a time. And SOPs don't have to be crazy. It could literally be you talking to a Zoom, recording yourself, talking through a system and a process. It's so simple. People overcomplicate things and simplify it. If you want to do more iterations down the road when you have time, fine. But just get started at the end of the day. That's going to be the most helpful. Figure out where the bottlenecks are. Where are you stopping the process? And obviously learn to then delegate that out. And then, sorry, what was that last? I missed that one. The slide went a little too quick.
It was
Can you back up?
implement for you.
There you go, implement. And then, yeah, okay. I could have winged that one. Put it into process. Next slide, thanks. Sorry. I thought it could be like critical. Okay. And then, so now you've got the clarity, you know the direction that you're going. The second one is you've got the plan, you know how you're going to get there. Now we got to execute it. And this is the part that people just don't follow through with. They'll do all this work up front. So think about some habits for success. All right. Identify what habits you need to start implementing in your day-to-day life. What's holding you back? What are some bad habits that you have that you want to turn that around? Atomic Habits is a great book to read for inspiration. What does your routine look like? I had a client once that we were talking about not being able to fit in enough time. They weren't able to get in enough time to do anything. And then we went through what their routine was, and we found tons of holes that they could implement and they could start to work around. So stop lying to yourself is really what I'm trying to say, because you have time. Just go on your phone and look at how much time you've spent on your phone. You'll find some pockets right there. And then accountability. This is such an important piece because we're human after all. We are wired for instant gratification. And if that cake tastes better than saying no to it and the feeling that you'll get in that moment, most people are going for the cake. I know I did yesterday. And I talked to the ladies about that. So I'm cake free today, but yesterday I wasn't. So you really need some accountability. And I'm known for putting myself out there because I need people to hold me accountable. As disciplined as I am, I still will struggle sometimes. So I put things in place to make sure I'm accountable. Time management, you need to prioritize your time. You need to identify what is most important to you. So that is all just part of that process. Delegate tasks out. We talked about that so that you're not doing the nitty-gritty work. Constantly assess what you're doing and constantly delegate that out and put boundaries up. Don't just do it because it's easier for you to do it. There's a lot of times, and that's part of that learning process when you are learning to be a leader. Sure, you could do it, but you shouldn't do it because then you're teaching other people to rely on you to take care of it. And you really need to have people held to a higher standard. Mindset is huge. This is one of the biggest barriers, if not the biggest barrier that we have on ourselves. It's not money, it's not time, it's not knowledge, it is mindset. And so you got to get that in check if you recognize that that is an area that blocks you. Self-development, lots of opportunities out there for you to improve on self-development. Networking, surround yourself with people who are wanting to grow, who are going to inspire you. Once you get in those types of rooms on a consistent basis, it normalizes that behavior. So make sure that you're looking at your circle, because if you're around really big aspirational entrepreneurs, guess what happens to you? You become one of them too. And then practice it, because you're not always going to feel great. You are going to struggle. You're going to feel like shit. You're going to question yourself, and you have to continuously practice a strong mindset and resiliency, which is really why, we're doing what we're doing, and what we talk about is because there is going to be ups and downs, and we will not promise you rainbows and pot of gold at every single corner. But what we will promise you is a strong mindset will get you through anything. Next slide. And then the final one, I will wrap it up real quickly because I put a timer on and I know I'm over time now, is the evolution. That's the full growth. So you've executed it, and that doesn't stop there. You want to continuously be looking on the horizon. A regular review, so setting periodic reviews annually, quarterly, whatever works for you in your business. Make sure that you are holding yourself to task and seeing where you can improve. Feedback is so important. Get feedback from members of your team, and especially from customers. Just ask them, how can I improve? What can I do to help a better experience for you? People want to feel heard. And it can be just that simple. You don't have to go through these fancy surveys and whatnot. Literally pick up the phone and ask. Best practices, stay informed with your industry. Make sure that you are staying up to date with things. AI, drop it in the comments. Are you using AI? Are you maximizing what you could be doing in your business and real estate portfolio with all the tools that are available out there for AI? And then embracing change, be open to it. That's going to be your biggest benefit for growth, is the change. Because I think I didn't plan this, but what they say is that the only thing that is consistent is change. Or the only thing that's predictable is change. I'm going to butcher that, but you guys know what I'm saying. It's just that you have to be open to change in order to grow. I'm now going to pass it over to Meghan for some exciting news. I think we got something to share, don't we?
We do. We have some exciting news for you guys. If you have been following us for a while, you know that we are committed to helping business owners and investors achieve success. You also probably know that we are launching an online summit to help investors and business owners excel in 2024 and into 2025. And surprise, you guys have the very first access to the early bird tickets. These tickets are launching tonight for you. We are so excited to bring you the virtual summit, the Real Estate Resilience Summit, hosted by myself, Elizabeth, and Victoria, September 2024. September 28th and 29th. Sorry, it's a 2-day event. The summit is going to be split into 2 days. Saturday, we will focus on investing, finding the opportunities, capital raising, etc. And Sunday, we're going to talk about growing and scaling your business. So if you are here and you have a small portfolio, or you are here as a business owner, this is going to be amazing for you. We're talking about bookkeeping, finances, buying a business, personal branding, and more. Here is a snippet of what the days look like. There are quite a few topics. They have all been strategically placed with you guys in mind to help you level up for the rest of this year. I absolutely love the lineup that we have created for you. We moved these topics around. We played with speakers. We played with different ideas, and we tried to figure out where you guys are at right now. What can we do to offer you the most amount of value to help grow your portfolio this coming year? There's going to be some new names for you as well. So I'm pretty excited to share about this roster that we have coming up. Next slide. There are going to be some new names on here for you. And the reason why there's new names here is because we have almost half the panel of US and speakers. We have Janelle Wilson, Brittany LaFemme, Michael Pontes from Canada, Terry Shanahan, Erwin Cito, Glenn Sutherland. You guys, this panel and this lineup is amazing. If you don't know these names, I want you to jump on over to Instagram or LinkedIn and start checking them out, see what they're doing, see what they're up to, and see how their content and information can add value to your business. Next slide, please. So that's the Saturday. Next day, we have Cherry Chan. Lots of you guys are going to know them. David Richter, Manny McAllister, David Kong, Melissa Kruper, Daniel Foch. Like, these are some amazing people, you guys, that are going to absolutely help you with your business. If you can leave with one, maybe even two key takeaways from this virtual summit, you're going to be ahead for the rest of this year. We are so excited to bring this to you. We've been working hard on it for quite a few months now, actually. All right, next slide. All right, now I just attended the multifamily conference. The multifamily conference was fantastic. We had a great time. However, this conference is different in the fact that it is a virtual summit. And if you have not been to an interactive, engaging virtual summit before, you probably missed out on this one last year. I was blown away. I was a speaker with Elizabeth last year. I was blown away by how I felt the energy of everyone there, how I was able to interact and connect with everybody that was there, how I was able to go into expo halls and lounges and chat with people and network. It was incredible. I actually plunked myself down. Thank you, Don. I'm so glad you loved it last year. I plunked myself down at my friend's house. I didn't have to travel. I was able to stay home with my young kids, put them in bed each night, didn't have all the extra expenses when we are cash tight right now. And I was able to attend, get all the energy from the summit, have as long of a list of follow-ups as I did if I was at an in-person event. It was fantastic, you guys. This platform is like none other. Next slide, please. So how can you maximize? Well, you can engage directly with the speakers and the hosts. You can attend all of the speed networking sessions. If you guys have not attended a speed networking session, it's amazing. You get 5 minutes with each person before it rolls over. You can take a time to say, I want us to have a few more minutes, but before it takes the time to roll over again. So you get to meet multiple people in 1 hour. There's no awkward tapping in the shoulders saying, hey, I know you from Instagram. I'd like to introduce myself, right? You just get that rapid fire. You get to also engage with all of the speakers in the virtual halls, and most of the speakers also have a free gift for you to download once you visit their booth. So you can jump into their booths. I mean, you guys, the energy last year was incredible. It transformed my business in ways that built connections for me that I wouldn't have otherwise had, all from the little spot that I live in BC. So I hope that you guys can come and attend the virtual summit this year. Here is a little list of the agenda. You can go ahead and you can bookmark all of the events that you want to go to, so they can auto-populate directly into your calendar. You get access to the event. You can create a profile for yourself. You can pop in, some of the things that you're working on. You can pop in some details around some of the things you're looking for as far as partners or other investors or other business owners and things. You really get a chance to really grow and scale your community, which is of course amazing. As both Victoria and Elizabeth talked about earlier, your network is what is going to get you ahead. All right, so you have two options. Of course you have two options. You could do nothing. You could say, that sounds interesting, I'm not going to attend, or maybe I have other priorities, maybe I got a date with Netflix, I'm not too sure. Or you could choose to actually invest in yourself for these 2 full days. Next slide, please. When you invest in yourself, of course, So much better than Netflix, right? When you invest into yourself, you take the action. When you actually invest in yourself, you grow, you scale. And if you want to grow and scale, and that's probably why you're sitting here on a Monday night, this is going to be amazing for you. The thing that we were really called to do this year, you guys, is to help you in the hard places that you're in. This is why we talked about turning your cash crunch into a cash flow, really understanding like, okay, what are people looking for right now? They're looking for opportunities in Canada and they're looking for opportunities in the United States. So how can we actually marry those two and bring you guys something that's going to be really impactful? Next slide, please. So early bird pricing, this is for you guys for the next 48 hours. For $197, that's your early bird price. It's available for you to the next 48 hours. This is what you get. You get the all access pass. You get 30 days access to the session recordings. You get the networking opportunities. You get to have your questions answered by the experts. And then you, of course, make the lasting connections. Now, if you want to upgrade to the VIP ticket, the VIP ticket has a couple main differentiators. Number one is that you get lifetime access to the recording. But number two, and this piece is key because Victoria already talked about it, is that you get 3 months of accountability coaching with Victoria, Elizabeth, and myself. This is the key to actually turn the dial in your business. A lot of times we say, oh yeah, this is great. This is good information. I'm going to put it in. I'm going to put it in play. And all of a sudden we fall back into our old habits. We fall back into our habits of having a stack of papers beside us that we have great ideas and concepts on, but we haven't actioned. And this is the reason we really wanted to have an extra step for you guys to really take it to the next level. We wanted to help you reach your goals in 2024 and into 2025. We want to help get you unstuck from where you're at. And we want to make this really impactful for you. 2 days virtual summit, plus you get the 3 months of accountability. This is your early bird pricing. Again, there's only a limited amount of early bird pricing, and we're not just saying that, it is legitimate. So get in, grab your ticket, let us know that you're going to be there, send us a shout out, let us know personally, but we cannot wait to see you on the inside. Okay, so there is a lot of free summits out there. There's a lot of free information out there, period. In fact, you could become a real estate investor with 100 doors by just using free information. But I can tell you, you will get there a heck of a lot faster when you start paying for it, when you put skin in the game, and when you hold yourself accountable to the goals that you set. In addition to that, there has never been a comprehensive real estate online event like this in Canadian history, in my opinion. It's going to be fantastic because we are going to have the crossover Canada, the US. We're going to have, we're touching on all the topics that we touched on tonight. We are talking about everything from the numbers to the marketing, to the branding, to US investing. You got it. It's going to be there. So here is your QR code to grab your link. Cannot wait for you guys to come. I cannot believe the chat is blowing up here. This is so exciting. Lots of people coming in. Amazing. Count me in. I'll be there. I'm so excited. We can't wait to help you guys. I think this is going to be a transformational event of the year. And I absolutely love the fact that we can bring it to you at an affordable rate without the need for you to travel, for you to have the opportunity to stay home with your families and to absorb it all. Elizabeth, Victoria, do you guys want to add anything? Did I miss anything?
That was awesome. Thank you, Megan. And I want to add to it, we had people who last year they weren't able to attend live, so they attended afterwards. All of the networking and the interactive, you obviously the speed networking piece is not there, but even if you are out of the country or you are busy, I don't know, washing your dog that weekend, you will have 30 days on the platform. You can still go and message the sponsors, you can message the presenters, you can message other attendees. So that is kind of your playground for the next 30 days, and you can continue to engage and interact and get benefits from it.
I love too that, I mean, there's so many things. The accessibility to the speakers is amazing because every speaker is going to have their own booth. And so often you go to these conferences, and even if you're in the VIP section and you get a fireside chat, the chances of getting to actually speak to a speaker is slim to none. And so here, the speakers are going to be monitoring their booth, their chats, and making those connections and wanting to connect with the attendees. So I think that that is pretty incredible. And then the second thing, like the VIP, the 3 months that you get, so not only the 2 full days, and then you're going to be in the room with action takers. And so talking about that networking and being in those rooms, for that extra difference, you're going to be placed with those action takers, and then you get to develop a relationship outside for the over the next 3 months and really get that hand holding to get you going. And like, I think it's incredible. We were talking about how we wanted to make the VIP just like a no-brainer, and this is it. This is it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely right. You know, a no-brainer just to get that accountability, to hold yourself accountable, to really achieve those goals. I mean, I remember the energy I had after last year's summit was incredible. I connected with so many people. I mean, I think Victoria, that's when you and I connected for the first time. It's because we
Yeah.
both presented last year.
Yep. Yeah. And see what it comes from it. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's interesting. One of the questions when we were working on all of our marketing, things like that, one of the questions that came up was, how do I know Elizabeth and Victoria? Because I live in BC and they're in Ontario. You guys, it's because I grew my network. It's because I reached out to them and built connections and relationships. And we met people on, you know, we met through Instagram, and we got to see each other live in person a couple of weeks ago, which was incredible. But it's really, really, you guys, the more you put yourself out there, the more that you grow your network, the more that your business is going to grow and thrive. And we just want to see that for you.
Shashi asked what happens in the accountability sessions over 3 months. Are we establishing a brand, coming up with systems? Shashi, the answer to that is, what do you want? Because this is you setting your parameters. We will help you, if you would like, with determining what the biggest obstacle is in your journey right now. So what thing can you do, or obstacle you can figure out a solution to, that is going to move your journey forward the best. But then we're going to hold you accountable to that. So if you say that I need to establish a brand because that's your biggest obstacle right now, maybe nobody knows who you are, so you say, I need to get out there, I need to network, I need to establish my brand. We're going to say, great, we are here to cheer you on. Show us the plan, tell us what you want to do or what you're committing to, and now we're going to hold you accountable to that. And that's the kind of stuff. Victoria and I are both in an elite coaching program, and you're not even allowed to ask a question if you haven't completed the 5 non-negotiables every single day, and he checks on you. He will go and he will look at your Instagram account to see if you have done the things that you committed to doing before you're allowed to even ask a question in the group. And it is fierce. Like, some of the transformations we have seen in the 6 months in this group in people's businesses are insane. So that accountability, my high performance coach has always said to me, knowing and not knowing something is the same as not knowing if you're not doing. So you can know how to buy, you can know how to offer. If you're not running numbers and putting in offers, you're still not a real estate investor. You have to be doing, you have to be taking action. And that's really, that's what we've focused so much on with the summit this year, is figuring out how do we help you go from knowing to doing. That's the biggest gap, the biggest obstacle most people are facing.
Absolutely. And, you know, we've got some tricks up our sleeve to help push through your boundaries, your barriers, your limiting beliefs, right? And so it's about setting the expectations up front and then getting the support that you need. So when you do hit blockages, that you've got somebody to talk to who can A, maybe call you out on your BS, or B, help you see a different perspective. Because we can get really stuck in our own space, our own really like perspective. So when you can put yourself out there with a group and you can be guided through, I mean, it's a game changer.
Absolutely. I love it. So we don't have any official questions because obviously we were awesome and answered all the questions as we went along. So if anyone has any questions at this point, either about something that we talked about or a challenge that you're facing or something to do with the summit, take a moment, type it in the chat right now. And thanks, Mark. He's such a
Thanks,
doll.
Mark. Big Mark fan. Big Mark fan.
Yeah.
It is group sessions, but you're, like Elizabeth was saying earlier, you'll be moving one-to-one ahead on your own goal. So we'll help you facilitate that.
Yeah. So thank you very much for all of you who joined us today for the kickoff. It has been absolutely lovely to have you here with us. And it really helps that we know and have connected with so many of you. And we wish each of you every success. We really hope to see you join us at the summit. And that's why we have been so excited to offer special pricing for you. And Victoria, give me a number between 1 and 50. And they are going to have their choice of either the highest and best used playbook by Ryan Carr or the Believe Journal by Brandy Mullen.
Lucky number 17.
Okay, deal.
Ooh,
Mary Beth
that's my
will be
number 2.
Oh yeah? So in sync, Megan. We're just so in sync.
Right.
Love it. So Mary Beth will be contacting attendee number 17. So
Ooh.
check your emails tomorrow when Mary Beth will be checking in. We will be sending you a replay of this webinar in case you missed anything and you want to grab something from the screen. Here is where you can find us. If you're not following us yet on Instagram, please go and follow us. And we look forward to sharing more insights and information with you. And thank you so much for your time. Thank you, ladies, Victoria, Megan. I know you're both super
Yeah.
busy and really appreciate you making the time to share our exciting news with everyone. And please, if you buy tickets, don't hesitate. Shout it out on socials, and we'll come in and cheer you on.
Yes, I love it. It was amazing. Thank you so much. Great seeing everybody.
Thank you for all your engagement, everyone. Have a great night.
Take care. All the best.